Skip Wilson, let's start off with what's your superpower? How does that serve your mission to help others?
I'd say my superpower is making things, I don't know, making everything objective, right? Like making things that seem squishy and those things and turning that into something that's predictable or repeatable.
Very nice. When it comes to your clients, like how do you see that play out? Like how do you engage with clients to really make those outcomes happen?
So we started off as draft ad technologies, and we originally built out this sort of. I would always get these I was the vice president of digital media for iHeartMedia for over a decade, and I would always get these questions of like, hey, if we give you money, like what can we expect in return, and those types of things. And I always felt like there wasn't a great answer which I thought was crazy because we know like what average response rate is, and we know those things. So essentially took all the years of experience and as well as the objective data of like, hey, if you're a roofing company, this is what your landing page should be converting at, and this is how much it should cost to get people to your page. And anyway, built a software around forecasting that out so that you can say, hey, if we've got a $2,000 budget, here's how many leads that will get, and then here's what the conversion rate on those leads should be. And the original idea was to sell that as a software as a service, but then we kept having the request of, hey, thanks for building this plan for us. Can you just run the ads for us too? And so that's sort of how we started doing those things. Because normally when you're doing an ad campaign, it's like, hey, I hope this will work, or you don't even know necessarily what success is going to look like going into it. So we wanted to change that.
Nice. Flywheel leadership is about discovering and practicing the leadership systems that bring out the best in each of us and our teams. Is there a story that comes to mind from your experience that exemplifies exceptional or unique styles in leadership, whether that's, in your own business or what you've seen with, your major clients?
Yeah, for sure. I have this sort of employee performance like formula, which is that optimal performance equals sort of desire plus ability kind of bracketed together, and then multiplied by tools and expectations. I've sort of found that if someone isn't performing, it's because they either don't have the desire to do it, which in that case, doing things like bonuses or incentives or those types of things that increase desire can be helpful, or they don't have the ability to do it, in which case they need more training or those types of things, or they don't have the tools, or the tools are bad, or the tools are causing frustration, or they don't have clear expectations. It's always one of those things. I kind of have this belief that any person can do any job if they have the right mixture of those things. Some people are going to hate life, right? Like there's some people, like for me, doing like spreadsheets or those types of things, like I could get to where I'm good at it, but I will never enjoy doing it. But that's different, right? But I think in terms of getting people up and going, I think that's how you do it. And that's what's I like about the idea of the flywheel, is that once you get people started doing something, I feel like eventually they do start to like it, right? Like even me, I might like spreadsheets if I was really good at them.
Right. How many people are on your team currently, or how many people have you led, over your career, would you estimate?
Yeah. So, our current team is about 10 people, and then plus contractors and things. But in my iHeart world, I had 62 people in my department and division. Cool. So it was different. That was managing managers of other folks, and managing managers is just it's kind of a different skill set, because you have to you're almost teaching them how to manage others more so than managing people directly.
No doubt. Yeah. I love that optimal performance framework you mentioned. Things like that, I think, really help managers see the different way of looking at it beyond just the, do X, Y, and Z, look at it from a formula standpoint, and what can you do to add value to that formula? So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
To understand more about Draft Media Partners, could you tell us a little bit about your business?
Yeah, so we call ourselves an advertising distribution company, because we most of our business comes from behind the scenes of other ad agencies, internal marketing teams, fractional CMOs. So we do work with a few direct businesses, but that's not our main thing. Our main thing is being the sort of behind the scenes execution of other ad marketing companies. And so we sort of operate our business model. I don't know if you know like what Cisco is like in the restaurant world, like the food supply. Yeah. So, the food folks, that's kind of what we are, the people that can't, either aren't big enough to be on like something like Trade Desk or something like that. We get them access to the tools and the people that they need to execute ad campaigns. And then, so we have more of a volume based, pricing model more so than, so in other words, we're not going to necessarily take you out for coffee and become your best friend, but you get a much cheaper, it's like wholesale rates on advertising basically.
No, great. Thanks for sharing. I'm somewhat familiar with what you're talking about, I believe, but let me walk through a specific to make sure that I'm kind of nailing down the concept. So,
yeah,
I work with EI Digital and, marketing agency, right? So, from a paid media perspective, we have in-house team members that handle some of that. But if we had overflow work, or if we wanted to build a partnership with an agency that specializes in that, then we could work with Draft Media to essentially execute, plan and execute on that work. Is that essentially what you're saying?
That's exactly it. Most agencies like that, you're probably going to do Google and Meta in-house. And then in that case, you're only using us if it, like you said, overflow issues or, or anything like that. But, you're going to get that client that comes to you and it's like, hey, can you do Hulu or can you do whatever random platform? And then that's when you reach out to us.
Very nice. Cool. Thanks for walking through that.
Yeah.
Would love to hear a little bit more on anything that maybe you look at differently from a business perspective compared to what you see out there and, across LinkedIn or wherever about how people look at business, look at leadership or anything like that. Anything that's maybe a little bit edgy or controversial or just, more of a unique view.
Yeah. To me, one of the things that I think I see a lot about now that kind of makes me like eye roll a little bit is things like work-life balance. Work-life balance, I mean, you should not be working your whole life, right? Like that should be, your job should be only a piece of your life, right? Like you can't be happy if that's all it is. But at the same time, I mean, I think the idea of sort of structuring, like I almost think each day needs to be taken like in chunks. And I feel like that's the sort of missing piece. It's like you're going to have days where you're 90% work and 10% other stuff, and then you're gonna have other days where it's completely inverted. But to me, I mean, I think you can live your life while you're working, and you can work while you're living. I don't know. I've got 3 small kids, and I do very much try to make sure that, although they're not that small anymore. Now my oldest is 14, but whatever. I still think of them as small.
Yeah, right.
But, it's, so I definitely don't want to be like on my phone or responding to emails and stuff while I'm with them, because that's disrespectful to them. But at the same time, I don't know, nothing wrong with, to me, it's like you should enjoy both things, right? Like you should be enjoying your work and enjoy, and then you don't have to worry about it so much. And,
yeah, it's that balance of, I love to hear people from the mindset talking about, you also want your kids to see you work hard and work in something meaningful and, have some sort of passion or effort towards something, that is a tangible product of some sort, right? In your work. So there's that balance of, spending time, but also them seeing, a dedicated parent from a work perspective, productive member of society or however you want to look at it, right?
Yeah.
So that I think what I'm hearing you is, some of that is more of like that work-life harmony versus balance, right? And like you want it to kind of mesh together in a way where it works for you, whatever that means. Some people have a heck of a lot more work or a heck of a lot more family.
Sure.
And there are seasons, right? Kind of like what you said, day by day.
Yeah,
that's definitely true. I mean, each week, Monday through Thursday may just be crazy for you, and Friday may be a little slow, and the next week it could be completely opposite. You never know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The nature of a lot of, especially service-based businesses, and anything like where you've got clients or customers, and there's cycles, right?
Yep.
Whether it's, O&D is your season, or if it's, the accounting industry, it's more
Ex-
maybe,
yeah.
January through April or
Through
whatever,
April.
right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
everybody's got their thing. And, I find it really important with teams that I talk with is, you know, let's not act like we're working hard, right? Let's
Correct.
actually work hard when that work is there and when there's a time and a place. And of course, there's a consistent level, but don't be sitting at your desk at 5 p.m. on Friday when, your department's super slow. And this is the time you should be taking off and enjoying an early day out when it's not like you're the salesperson that could bring in more business right now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. See, I agree with that entirely. I mean, now, granted, every industry is different, right? Like if we had a brick and mortar place,
Certainly.
which we have, I mean, we have an actual office, but I don't ever require anyone to come here or anything because it's just a different industry. So not
Yeah.
every industry can do this, but in our industry, at least, I don't care. I've got a graphic designer that she likes to work through the night, and I'm like, that's great. I
Yeah.
don't care when you put it, and I don't require any number of hours because I don't really care. Like, right. If she can knock out her design work in 2 hours, great. Then that's all you've got to do. And so I think as leaders, empowering people I've never understood paying people to like be on Facebook at work. Like, it's
Right.
like, well, why?
Exactly.
Go do other stuff. There's and so I think that's, I don't know, but like I said, it is a little bit industry dependent. If you have to have a front desk person that's working a set number of hours so people know to walk in, that's a little
Certainly.
different. But for I'd say 90% of jobs, I mean, if somebody's if you don't have actual work to do, go do other stuff.
Yep, for sure. Um, how about the most impactful leader in your life? How they impacted you? Anybody come to mind that you'd like to share a little bit about, what kind of, you know, imprint they made on your leadership style and your success?
Yeah, one of the leader that had the biggest impact on me. I've had some great bosses, but I've been very, very fortunate in that way. I've really only ever worked at one place that I absolutely hated, and so I've been very, very blessed that way. But one of the most impactful people in my life, from a leadership standpoint, was actually a high school teacher that I had. He was my speech and debate coach, Mr. Evans. He's actually somebody who, in the Greenville area, if anyone went to high school in the Greenville area, they all oh yeah, we know Mr. Evans. Yeah.
Nice.
He was somebody who really taught me. I didn't want to do speech and debate, and then I ended up in his class. It was like my last alternate, and I still got put in there. But he paid for me to go to speech and debate tournaments because I couldn't pay for them, and he really taught me that not to be dismissive of folks. I had this I've always been a fairly opinionated person, even if I'm absolutely wrong. And so when I would have to take a side or something, I'd be like, oh, the people that don't think this are just stupid. And he was very quick to always point out no, nobody thinks anything that's just stupid, right? Debatable issues are debatable for a reason.
Yeah.
And so he really always hammered home truly understanding other viewpoints and truly understanding the other side, and just always being sort of hyper empathetic. That's something that has served me my whole life.
That's great. I love the just seeking to understand from people before you just jump to conclusions about where they're coming from, or assuming that their mindset or their attitude or just how they're approaching things is just completely off or misaligned with you. It's about really hearing them out first and really
Exactly.
understanding where they're coming from, right? And just really meeting people where they are. I know that we hear that, but I think it's not always put in practice, right? Of really seeing where people are coming from. Doesn't mean they're right. Doesn't mean that you're going to accept
Correct.
it either, but it does help with managing people and really understanding how do they tick? Where are they coming from with their thought process? So
exactly. When it's it's too easy to be oh, that client's just a jerk, or oh, that that employee is just lazy. That's dismissive and misses the point. That's they may to your point, they may be wrong. It might be an unreasonable client. It might be somebody who isn't a good fit for the team, but there's always like a nugget of truth there. Like, some like that angry customer is sometimes like the best survey you can get, because they're going to tell you everything that's wrong with the business.
Yeah.
And those, and so just not being dismissive of people that way.
And that negative and dismissive thinking just isn't productive either in making you better, right? To your point on like
Correct.
listening to people, like that's where you improve, even if, it's 95% BS and 5%,
Right.
5% is, to have that positive attitude on this is how we're going to get better. Yeah, it can be
Exactly.
frustrating, but stepping back on what's really important here goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Skip, what's the most important, most fulfilling aspect of your work? Like what really matters to you and your business?
Well, so it's gonna sound corny, but it's actually, it's like all over, all over here. It's even on like the back of my phone. But one of our, I have like a very strong heart for businesses and business owners. And one of our mission statement at Draft is make dreams come true through advertising. And I mean that both internally and externally. So in other words, I want to make my, employees and my team members' dreams come true. I want to make the people that we work with, their dreams come true, even if it's as simple as, whatever the outcome is of this, if it's an X number of leads. Well, X number of leads means a certain amount of revenue, which means something to somebody, right? And that's the kind of thing that really does energize me. Is, I do think that that's such a powerful piece of every business, is how they get customers, and advertising being one of the core pieces of how they get customers. That's the kind of stuff that, I don't know, really excites me.
Great. Let's talk about AI, right? You can't have a conversation without talking about AI in some way.
Absolutely.
Would love to hear what is changing in the industry, from your seat, or how you are using AI to really, whether that's change productivity, quality, or whatever topic you want to touch on there. Would love to hear more about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so that first version of our software that I mentioned, the draft forecasting tool, it used to take us about 45 minutes to actually plug in the information. So if we had I had mentioned roofing before, so I'll just keep with that example. If we've got a roofer in Des Moines, then we've got to plug all that stuff in. It generates what the media mix should be. But then we have to map it out, and then we plug in the landing page. It took about 30 to 45 minutes to actually do that. We put a GPT on top of it, and so with the same data and the same training and everything behind it, and so now we're able to say, we've got a roofer in Des Moines, here's the zip code, here's the budget, and it does all of that for us in about 30 seconds. That alone shortened our proposal building time from what we used to say was a 1 business day turnaround to now we can do usually within an hour, and we're very close to being able to open that to a customer facing standpoint, to where you don't even have to ask us for a proposal. It's automatically generated for you, pulling in from like real campaign data and all of those things. So that's I would say our biggest use of it internally, is helping us turn around proposals much faster. Where I think it's changing the industry is it's going to make organic much more difficult. It's going to be a lot harder to stand out as just content in general becomes, social media is going to continue to be flooded with more and more posts. Thanks to AI. Blogs and things are going to become much harder to get indexed and those things because of AI. And so I think that increases the importance for paid advertising, which is a good thing for Draft, but I would say that's going to be the biggest change for the industry, is that organic and search are about to change a whole bunch, and that's the bread and butter of a lot of agencies.
Definitely hear a lot about that for sure. What's, coming off that AI topic, I'm not sure if it'll be related to this or not, but what's one thing you've changed your mind on over the span of your life or career?
Well, I mean, I would say one of the things that I change my mind all the time. But one of the things is, actually I'm standing in it. One of the things that I often discount is, the person-to-person interactions. Like, I'm somebody who would have been all in on everything can be replaced with AI. Nobody wants to talk to anybody.
Yep.
Personal connections don't matter. Now I would say I have learned that actually I was against us getting an office. My business partner was like, no, we need one. I was like, why? We don't.
Right.
But I would say he definitely made the right call, even though, like I said, we don't require anyone coming here. But the just having that space for the folks that do enjoy interactions and those things, doing little things like remembering people's birthdays and those types of things. I know that I might be the only person on earth that didn't realize that that's important to people, but I think it's because it just means absolutely nothing to me. And so I assume, like, we all assume everybody's like us. I couldn't care less if anyone remembers my birthday, but other people do. And so just having those sort of personal connections, that was something that I'm the worst about jumping on a business call and just immediately starting off with, all right, hey, let's go over this, and not even asking, like, hey, how are you doing? How are things? And so I'm getting better about that, but that's something that I definitely I've changed my mind on, because I would have said small talk's dumb. Nobody wants to be meeting in person. I think that's definitely changed.
No, appreciate you being open on that. And it's funny, like even those that are either really bad or just hate small talk, right? That their own unique way of finding that connection, as you mentioned, is so important, whether it's, leadership, clients, of course, being able to, again, like, some people enjoy that. So you do have to adapt in some ways if you want to make a connection there that is memorable, right? Whether you're selling or just working with somebody, that only strengthens relationships to actually have, someone that actually sees a connection with you versus just transactional, right?
Exactly.
And it is harder for some, right, compared to others, but there's always different ways to go about it to make it work for you.
Absolutely.
So what's the common through line with the best leaders or organizations you partner with, whether it's client leaders that really stand out, or, throughout your time with iHeart or otherwise, like, what really stands out as some of those key characteristics, or anything else you would like to share on that?
I think throwing out a vision, like, if those who can, like, paint the clearest picture of here's where we're going and here's how we're going to get there. I think the more clear you can do that, it makes everyone happier. It makes everyone work harder. It gives everyone working towards the same goal. It makes decision-making easier. I mean, I think that's if I had to pick out, like, one single thing, I would say that's it, is just have a very clear picture of where you think your business or yourself should be in 10 years. And the more clearly you can paint that picture for others, I think that makes leadership much, much easier. And as well as even, decision-making skills, right? Like, does this move us closer to that goal or further from that goal? It makes it very, very easy, makes everything easier.
That vision, or North Star, however you want to refer to it.
Yeah.
It does wonders for that decision-making, doesn't it? Where it doesn't make everything a one-off thing, and it all aligns with where are we headed with this business.
Exactly.
Love that thought process. How about leaders who fail or are regularly unsuccessful at achieving outcomes? Like, anything that you've seen where people really struggle, like any kind of generalizations on why that is?
I think there's certain folks that I feel like almost act as if, like, struggle or hardship is like a surprise to them. That I think is one of the main things, because you'll have a conversation with somebody and all it is like, oh, I've got this bad thing going on and that bad thing going on, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying you shouldn't complain to your close friends, because of course you can. There's nothing wrong with that. But It's the folks that are like, and this shouldn't be happening. It's like, well, no, that's, it's hard to start a business and build it and grow it. Like, of course it's difficult. Like, there's one thing that's like, like, okay, today sucked because XYZ, and being like, this all sucks and everything's bad, and the world's out to get me. The world, without, like, no, it's not. Like, it's completely indifferent to you, right? Like, it's, and so it's, the folks that act like struggle is a surprise or those sorts of things, I'd say those are the folks that fail, because they're not willing to stick through the hardship without realizing that, the obstacle is, there's a reason why. It's the obstacle is the way thing, which I think is Marcus Aurelius. It's also a Ryan Holiday book, but
Yeah.
There's a reason why most people don't build a big business or lead a large team. It's because it's hard, right? Like that's why there's rewards in it, is because it's difficult.
Yep. If it wasn't hard, it probably wouldn't be worth it in a lot of cases, right?
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
having that unwavering commitment to continuous improvement, but realizing like that's a big reason why either your role or your business exists, is to help solve those problems or reduce those problems or whatever. I am remembering that what can take people so far. Just remembering like that's either why my job exists or why we're here to serve this client, whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
So we've gone through a fair amount, Skip. Any questions that I should have asked you, or what else would you like to highlight about your work with Draft Media?
No, I mean, and not that I can think of as far as questions to ask, and as far as things to highlight, we don't charge anything for access to our platform and for building out forecasts and those types of things. So reach out to us, info@draftmediapartners.com, or our website, draftmediapartners.com or draftadvertising.com. All of it goes to the same place. And our stuff's all free. We only take money if you run an actual ad campaign.
Very nice. Cool. Thank you for sharing. Before we wrap up, what's the one thing for those that you've worked with that you'd like them to say about how your impact on them? So let me say that again. I didn't say that very well. What do you want those you have worked with to say about your impact on them?
When I would love to have like lasting generational impacts on the folks that I interact with. My sort of heroes are folks like Milton Hershey and, even though this is a dumb one, but whatever, I'm going to say it, Walt Disney, those types of people. Milton Hershey built Hershey Park for his employees, and so the idea of caring so much about people and building life-changing amounts of not only wealth but also taking care of other people, that's what I would like to be known for, doing great things for the folks that have helped me.
Appreciate you sharing this today, Skip. Skip Wilson, Draft Media Partners, thank you for your time today. We appreciate you sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.